When exploring dungeons, a helping hand isn't too bad. Familiars do exactly that. In the indie dungeon crawler called Moonlighter, these familiars will help you travel through dungeons. So let's talk about them. The familiars were added with the Friends and Foes update, otherwise known as update 1.9. Familiars are small versions of enemies, kind of like a pet, and they will also assist you in various ways. Familiars are stored on the east side of Moonlighter in the special farm. If you interact with the sign in front of it, you can choose your familiar and infinitely use that. There are a total of 15 familiars. 13 familiars in the normal game or the plus game, and there are 2 familiars of the DLC. But today we're looking just at the normal familiars. Before you get any of these familiars, you need to hatch them from an egg. So here's how to hatch and obtain an egg. Eggs will be dropped after killing a certain number of a certain type of enemies. Note that the egg does take up an inventory slot, so you need to keep one clear. When returning to the town, the egg will be automatically stored in the special farm. Here it will take up to 3 days to hatch. The 15 familiars are divided into 4 types: melee, range, support and storage. Melee familiars will lunge at enemies and deal 20% of the damage your weapon deals. Then instead of lunging at enemies, ranged familiars will fire a projectile at enemies and deal 20% of the damage dealt by your equipped weapon. There are not many support familiars, but support familiars offer powerful supportive abilities such as spawning potions or healing the player. Then we have the storage familiars. These familiars will be able to pick up and hold items. Many of these familiars have 2 types: the flying golem familiar, the mimic and the slime familiars. And just like that, the flying golem familiar, the mimic and all the slime familiars are melee familiars. Then the golem turret familiar, the wind tree sprout, the blade tree sprout, the modder golem familiar and the graaf generator familiar are all ranged familiars. The next type of familiar features all the slime familiars again, the Bard puppet familiar, one of my favorite familiars next to mimic. And we have the recharger familiar. These are support familiars. And then we have the storage familiars, of course the mimic and the flying golem. The mimic familiar is just a chest, but still very good. Then the flying golem familiar does not seem like a good familiar, but you can use the flying golem familiar sometimes to pick up items that are about to fall into the void. Very useful. And you can also use him for carrying items to another room. To summarize, what all these familiars do is basically that they just do what the bigger version of them does. Now again, you still need the eggs, and for the eggs you need to kill a certain amount of a certain type of enemy. For the slime familiars you need to kill 15 slimes of that species. And for the mimic familiar you need to kill also 15 mimics. But that is a little bit hard since mimics are very rare. And for the rest of the familiars you just need to kill 10 enemies. If you like the familiars of Moonlighter, you need to click here to hear more about this incredible indie game.